Welcome everybody to the Mathews Pro-Am here at beautiful Fort Massac outside of Metropolis, Illinois. There you see the fort in the foreground. You can see the Ohio River in the background. We are here for the Delta McKenzie ASA Pro Pressure Point Shootdowns. So we're going to get things kicked off here. We want to welcome everybody. I am your host, PJ Riley, sitting alongside Nathan Brooks. And Nathan, we're all sitting around here holding papers and stuff. We've been in the woods, but we got a little wind here this afternoon.
Yeah, this is going to be a challenge for these archers for so many reasons. But a lot of these guys also have the wind game.
They have it.
They have the wind game. You'll see some of them that have an enormous ability to really propel themselves from the bottom to the top. So
we are certainly going to find out who can play their wind game. Our first division up, of course, is the Women's Known Pro. Let's take a look at their leaderboard and see what our standings are. There you go, Nathan. Break it down for us.
Well, Paige Pearce has run off and left another group of shooters here, which, don't get me wrong, in this wind, anything is possible. I mean, we can see some really bad things happen. Paige Pearce is at 444, Morgan Rives at 432, Katelyn Bordwell, who has done extremely well here in this shoot-off in the wind before in the past, at 428, Madison Cox at 426, and no relationship, Cassidy Cox at 426 as well. And this ought to be a good one.
All right, Nathan, let's get to the action right now. We're going to have Mike Tyrell bring out our shooters. We're getting our microphone in order here. Here we go.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Mathews ASA Pro-Am shoot-off, starting with the Women's Known Pro class. Our first women's shooter tonight on stake 5 will be Cassidy Cox from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Cassie shoots for PSC and has been a pro for 6 years. She also shoots for Gas Bowstrings, Black Eagle, and Conquest. On target 4, Madison Cox from McKee, Kentucky. This is her first year of shooting as a pro. She shoots for Darton, along with Gas Bowstrings, Conquest Bows, True Ball, and Excel. And her dad and brother are here to join her today. In third place, coming in, is Katelyn Bordwell from Tully, New York. She's been shooting pro for 6 years for Hoyt, Legends of the Fall Outfitters, Gas and Elevation, and Shrewd. Her brother Stefan is here with her. On target 2 will be Morgan Rives from Natchez, Mississippi. She's been shooting pro for 3 years for Elite, Gold Tip, Bee Stinger, Hamsky, Tack Vanes, Mad Goat Bowstring.
Get your dad over here when he's done.
And target 1 is Paige Pearce from Red Bluff, California. She's been shooting pro for 13 years. She shoots for Bowtech, Black Eagle, True Ball, Excel, Gas Bowstrings, and AAE. Her fiance is here, her future father-in-law, and a lot of fans. All right, let's turn over to Mike to call the action.
All right, we will not be able to suspend the 1 minute clock during competition, so holding those bows still and making sure that they're steady is going to be the challenge today, as you can well imagine.
All right, Nathan.
Is Paige ready?
So,
I can't see, so Paige, if you're ready, let
this
me know.
is Pro Pressure Point Shootdowns. So we've got 5 targets out here.
Please put the code in front of you.
Each archer is going to shoot 1 arrow at each target, and we're going to cycle through. We have the scores there. They're cumulative. There are bonus rings in play of 12 and 14. This is a known distance, so these ladies can use rangefinders. It is typically a max distance of 50 yards, but you can see those umbrellas. Tell folks what that's doing.
So the umbrella holders can serve 2 purposes. One, to block the sun because it can get really bright, and also you can use the umbrella to catch the wind and try and help keep that wind from gusting so much on the archer and their bow. And you see those long stabilizer bars, those catch a lot of wind. But one thing you're going to notice about a lot of these ladies out here, well, all the archers in general, is the weights that these people are shooting on their bows now, as opposed to, say, 20 years ago, is tremendously different, and that weight really helps in this wind.
All right, well, we're going to start out here. So we're starting with Paige on the boar, and that boar is 40 yards she's shooting there. And Paige starts off with a 12.
That is impressive in this wind.
So,
you know, just right off the bat, boom, she hits it.
That antelope is the farthest target at 48 yards. And I believe she missed left, which is the way the wind is blowing.
That's what I was actually looking at, PJ. I know you probably saw me looking up at the trees, wondering what's he looking at, but that's what I was trying to get my eyeballs located on, was the direction that this wind is blowing and which direction they're going to have to aim off in order for those arrows to drift over into the 12 rings or stay in the 10s.
Katie Bordwell on that javelina is 34 yards, and this leopard is 45 yards. Our last target is going to be 36.5 yards. It's a turkey.
So far, we've not seen a right arrow, but
no.
And I don't know that we'll see too many of those in this shoot-off until they figure it out, and then the wind stops, and they've aimed right, and the arrow hits over there because they've aimed too far, and the wind stopped for just a second.
So, Nathan, in anticipation of this wind, Paige finished her round around noon today. She has completely changed her bow setup. She brought her target setup thinking it was going to be windy. So it's a different bow, and she's shooting skinny arrows to not have problems with that wind.
Well, that just goes to show you the preparation and the understanding of complete all things archery that Paige understands. I mean, to be completely ready for this wind, she's got a whole other setup for it. I can tell you, of all even the pro archers out here, my guess is less than half of them have a backup bow ready to go.
Right.
And there's very few of them that have target arrows, like little skinny arrows for wind set up and ready. But that's why she is so dominant.
There you see, looking over her shoulder. And so you see that new bracket that she has on the front for her side rods. That's made by, she had that custom made by O'Neill's Classic Archery just to get her weights out farther. She said she compares it to someone walking a tightrope. They don't use a tiny little bar. They use one that gets the weight out to the side. And so she's been playing with that, and she says it's working for her.
Yeah, we kind of saw, talking about, changes and things like that. We've watched Tim Gillingham kind of lead the way in some strange off-the-wall thinking stuff, which is phenomenal, and I love Tim for it. He's always thinking outside the box, outside the norm, and it does well for archery, and it bleeds over into all of his friends, and obviously Paige and Tim are really close, and
yeah.
So when one finds a success at something, they share that success.
We did 10 for Cassidy Cox on that first one, and that's a 10 for Paige right there. Again, on that's the longest target at 48 yards, the antelope.
Yeah, that's a good shot at that in that kind of wind. Paige, she's obviously happy. And
there's Morgan.
She called up her. That's cool.
All right, Nathan, so let's get the call here, and then you can describe what we're looking at.
So this arrow has to touch the line, and with a foam target, you have what we would call the burn-in. To put those lines in the target, they have to burn those in, basically. So that sinks down into the target. So you're going to have an inside line and an outside line. Well, what happens a lot of times is an arrow gets close to that line, and it actually pulls from the inside towards the arrow, and it will distort that. What would be normally a perfect circle will actually make it oblong, and then the arrow still touches it. It looks like it might not touch, but when you're up close, you can see that it's actually touching.
Yeah, it's foam. It's not like going through paper, so it's pliable, so it moves.
Yes. And touching is all it has to do. So we don't have a rule here where it's got to be inside a circumference or cut the line, or it actually just has to touch. So
Touch it.
if you hear a lot of people say it pulled the line. Well, technically you have to touch it, but what they're meaning by that is it pulled the line outside of its normal
Madison, are you ready?
area, and
Yeah.
it pulled it over to the arrow, and it touched it.
All right, so we're going into our third shot here, and we've got Paige still leading at 466, Morgan Rives 452,
We'll start your
Katie
1 minute
Bordwell 448, and then Madison Cox and Cassidy Cox at 446. So we're kind of holding on point there, and we should mention, they shoot 5 arrows, and then at the end, anyone within 10 points of the leader would shoot a 6th arrow, which right now there would be no one. So Morgan Rives is probably going to be.
She's shooting that wrist strap with the trigger, and let's see how quick she fires this arrow. She's not been wasting much time. Like, she gets it right there and then gets it gone.
Yeah, oh, just outside. Now, what we're looking at there, Nathan, there's a line on the outside of the arrow, and it's touching a line, quote unquote, but it's not a line.
Right.
Tell them what it is.
So the line you see outside of that one, or in a bigger area, that was actually the 8 line. The line that arrow was touching was what we used to replace the center section of that target, called the core. And you see all these targets have it. Like,
Yeah,
that arrow
that
there
one's
is
in it.
same thing, right in the core line. And you see all these targets have this inner core, and that core line does not count for points. It's just part of the manufacturing part of the target.
It has nothing to do with scoring, is the point there. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a 10 for Madison Cox there, who is pursuing an advanced degree at University of Cumberland, is Madison Cox. So
10 on that antelope there.
10, that's Cassidy
Should be
Cox
Cassidy.
there. Yep.
Mhm.
456 and 456.
On the longest target out there. She looks to be a southpaw, or someone that shoots on the wrong side of the bow. That's just a joke for you left-handers. Don't get too upset about that.
That was Paige there shooting the javelina and getting an 8. And an 8 for Morgan Rives as well.
Yeah, Morgan got caught up probably in that wind. Looked like there was a little. I mean, it's drifting that direction. So
Katie Bordwell here. Yep, another left arrow, Nathan.
yep, just left of that low 12, and she's got the little skinny arrows as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if she typically shoots skinny arrows. I think she does.
Morgan at
But,
460 and 24 bonus
But
rings.
in this
Katelyn's
wind,
down 458
that is
and
a
19.
advantage for
Madison
these
Cassidy
archers
both
to
at
be shooting that
456,
smaller
with
diameter
Madison
shaft,
going
because
on
it just
to 20 to
cuts
17.
through the wind better than a
Advantage in
bigger,
bonus rings.
larger
So,
diameter shaft that weighs the
everybody's
exact
still
same
within
weight.
4 points of each other.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll
As they
see
wave finally to
anybody
Paige
else
Pearce as she pulls
switch
away
arrows.
once again.
They've been shooting fat arrows. Besides Paige.
All right.
We'll find out in the
Yeah.
next divisions, but I can't think of anybody who would do that.
I can think of one that might do it, and we've already mentioned his name because he's the type that prepares the exact same way. He'll have his backup bow will be his
And we'll start your 1
field
minute
bow or something
now.
along those lines. He's got the little small arrows, but we'll see.
There's Paige's fiance Tate holding the umbrella there.
I wonder if it's a deal breaker if he doesn't do a good job.
Oh man, I wouldn't want him to mess that up.
Hey, it's not as easy holding that umbrella as people think either.
No.
In this kind of wind, you have to make sure that it doesn't actually what we call flip inside out, which
Yeah.
is just grab so much wind that it turns and then it flips over onto the bow.
And there's enough wind that could happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. Another left arrow.
That was Morgan Rives on that one, and we still have Madison Cox there at full draw. I mean, you can see her shirt blowing in her hair. That it's a pretty good wind out there. And like we said, like we said all weekend, we've been in the woods.
All right, first up.
We were all hoping for a little
Katelyn
breeze, but
Bordwell,
there wasn't one.
currently at 458, 2
Good
points
overhead look
behind
there.
Morgan
Katelyn
Rives.
follow through looked really good. Her shot timing was good. Didn't take too long. Just got on the target and executed.
It's going to be a 10 for Katie Bordwell. Move her to 468. Madison Cox up next.
It's her brother there holding the umbrella for her.
Yeah, that was Glenn in the elite jersey.
Out to the left again. We see another left arrow. That was just rough wind gust right there for Madison.
She's not too happy about that.
And that is the longest target out there. So if you're going to experience that, more than likely it's going to happen on that one.
So now we move to the javelina. This is Cassidy Cox. Cassidy already has a World Cup gold medal for Team USA this year.
Just
A
off.
team medal. So she is experienced shooting in the wind, but I don't care what they say. It's frustrating.
It
shooting
is.
in the
It
wind.
really is. The thing about this is, don't get me wrong, in world archery or any type of field shooting, it's no fun. But the thing about in that format is when the wind blows, you almost have gauges because you have rings that you can aim off to a certain ring. You know, maybe aim off of the 7 ring or off of the 5 ring. Or
Right.
however, and you get used to that, the way the wind is gusting. But out here, your target's changing, your distance changing every time, and you just have to guess at about where it's going to be.
And these rings, you know, when we're coming up close, for those who've never seen a target up close, okay, up close you can see the rings. 48 yards away, you might see them and you might not, depending on your eyesight.
Yeah, and so along with that,
Whenever you're ready.
whether you can see them or whether you can't see them, you still have to be able to hold the bow in the wind
Yeah.
where you want to hold it to execute the shot there to let the arrow drift.
Ladies,
Right.
So
We'll start your 1
it's
minute.
a super challenging thing to do out here in this wind.
Yeah, so this is going to be our 5th arrow, and unless Morgan Rives does something wild here, this could very well be our last arrow for this division.
So with the exception of Madison's 5 on the envelope, we've really not seen any changes at all in the scores or the positioning of these gals from top to bottom as far as their placings go.
Oh, she
Ooh.
went for the 14, Madison
How
Cox.
about
Hey, why
that?
not? You
Well,
know,
yeah, for sure.
This will be the 5th and final arrow for everyone.
I can't tell where the top of the shaft is, but that looked good.
Morgan Rives,
Yeah, from
currently
our view
4-7.
here, that looked really good. It's a great looking
Good shot. That was Morgan Rives there. I think she's going to get a 10.
I think she was shooting.
Oh,
She was shooting at the upper 12 there, but
Yeah, that was Morgan Rives who shot that for a 10.
Katelyn is an 8
8 for
on
Katie
the
Bordwell.
antelope.
476. Now, here we go.
This
Let's
is-
see a good bonus
All right,
ring.
and let's also add this in here real quick. That's the smallest 14 ring
Yeah.
that there is out here.
There she is.
She got it.
Good for her.
That's an impressive shot. I mean, even if it's still and
Yeah.
the wind isn't blowing, that's still impressive.
Let's see what Cassidy gets here. Looks like she's got a 10. They're looking that the lower part must be close to that 12 line. I don't know, Nathan.
That's
It's
really
tough.
really difficult to see from our vantage point.
Yeah.
I don't see good enough or clear enough that I could say one way or the other.
It's distorting the line, but yeah, I was going to say I didn't think it quite got it.
That should be the last arrows fired for this group. So Paige Pearce comes away with
So
the win.
he gave Paige the victory before we even scored her arrow. But quite frankly,
That's
she
a
had it
12.
won anyway.
Yeah.
And she shoots a 12, of course.
Congratulations, Paige. You're our champion.
So yes, Paige Pearce is our champion, which makes it 5 in a row for her this year. 5 for 5.
Wow.
Women's known pro this year. And I know folks like to say, she's very dominant and stuff. Yes, she is, but she also earns it.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, she shoots and travels to about every archery venue that there is. And she puts a ton of time and effort into what she does.
Absolutely.
And yeah, no doubt. You don't just step in here and win these classes.
No.
Anyone that wins, they have absolutely earned it.
Yep. Yeah, she's going to step over to our winner's circle here, and we're going to get a few words from Paige. She's putting the headsets on right now. There she is. All right, Paige Pearce, 5 for 5. You were ready for the wind. Tell us about that shoot down. I'm sure it still has you a little frazzled.
Yeah, that was really stressful. I haven't really shot a hinge in that bad of wind before, so that was an experience, let me tell you what. Those weren't the cleanest shots you've probably ever seen from me, but everybody, when I walked in today, the first 4 people I ran into said, "Ooh, are you ready for the wind later?" And I was like, no, I'm really not. I don't know how to aim with my 23s in the wind. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. So I went to the car, I grabbed my target bow, tuned with my Revelations, my skinny arrows. I took my sight off my ASA bow and my whole bar set up and threw it on my target bow and shot some quick marks and came out here and did that.
That, Paige, that is ridiculously impressive. I've been out here doing this as a professional for 26 or 27 years now, and I don't know that I can count on one hand the amount of people that actually have had a wind setup ready in this situation. So
Yeah.
to do what you did as fast as what you did it, that is super impressive. Congratulations on
Thank
this
you.
win.
I really appreciate it. That means a lot. It was, we're kind of doing that every weekend anyway, back and forth, so it was just a little faster than that. But it worked out. I'm really glad I switched, or I'd have shot quite a few in the guts, I think. So it was good.
All right, Paige, congratulations. 5 in a row. You are a Mathews Pro-Am champ.
Thank you.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We will be right back at Fort Massac with the Senior Known Pro Division.